Hey everyone! Another drop kickoff time, and aren't we blessed today? Not by Nick Wasiliev's internet, who is here. Hello, Nick, and your bad internet. Hopefully, you don't cut out when you say hi. Yeah.
Hi, darling.
Yes, he's frozen. But we are here. We are joined intercontinental style by Nathan Williamson and his best friend / muse, Finn Morton. Hello, Finn. You are a special guest. Hello. How are you? You're looking good today. Your skin's looking great.
Yeah,
your hair's on point.
It's a bit of a issue for me. Like, I always look good, and it's just sometimes it's just immense pressure all the time. So it's a heavy burden. That's why
Nathan keeps you around.
Yeah, we're lucky. We got Finn his one good hair day.
Okay. Yeah, I wash my hair.
Don't embarrass me, Finn. Yeah. Brush your hair. Get in front of the boys.
No, I'm feeling good today. So good to be here, lads.
Yeah. So I'm not really sure where to start, but maybe let's start with you boys in Bristol doing the journo thing with the Women's World Cup. Let's talk about that. I guess we'll start with you, Nathan, because I know you talk about Australia first, but Finn will probably start talking about the Kiwis or something like he always does. So what's it been like? Let's just give the people a peek behind the curtains, the beautiful journalistic curtains. What's it been like?
Yeah, it's been good actually. Like you can say, still a great vibe. Like we've sort of gone all around England in the sense of we've started in Manchester, up to York, which is beautiful, by the way. Outside of the draw, amazing week up there. Just sort of it's a different history, a different culture up there, that we just don't have in Australia, which is awesome. Then down to Brighton, that sort of felt a bit more like home, right in the water, even though the Wallaroos were fucking 45 minutes outside of Brighton, really close to London.
35.
In the middle of goddamn nowhere. But I'm still not over it.
It was 35 minutes.
Oh, on what planet? 35
Did
minutes?
they play at Brighton and Hove Albion's ground?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, they did. That was sick.
Yeah.
That was like sold out 30,000. Like that was a cool experience. And for us as well, like so sitting in the media area, there's like little TVs where you can watch it off. It's all like padded seats. You're like, oh, this is actually incredibly bougie. This is real nice.
I worry I'm a bit concerned we might have peaked in terms of professionally, and I don't really know where to go from here because the setup at Brighton and Hove Albion Stadium was pretty good, Nath.
Yeah.
Even the press conference room was like leather seats with like Brighton's logo embroidered into the seats. It's pretty nice, eh? Yeah. And like could get used to it, but
know that we won't because we'll come straight back to Australia where we're still fine for
Brighton, but you're not in Brighton anymore.
No, we're in Bristol ahead of Sunday for Sydney, Saturday for us. Quarterfinal against Canada. World number 2 team. They're looking unreal right now. Like they are pumping people. So they are basically anyone that you ask, hey, who do you think wins that isn't England is saying Canada right now. So the task is going to be very tough right now.
New Zealand.
Do you mean win the game or win the whole thing?
Win the whole thing.
Yeah, right.
New Zealand won't win it. They haven't got a hope in hell.
They haven't won many. Only the 6, right? So
only 6.
Yeah. But I think it'd be pretty, like, if we're being neutral, I mean, if Australia aren't going to win it, because I'm on an Australian podcast, right, lads? So if Australia aren't going to win it, seeing Canada win it would be pretty cool, wouldn't it? A non-traditional rugby nation kind of winning a Rugby World Cup, I feel like that'd be a pretty good story. That said, we've been to just one England game so far, another one this weekend on Sunday against Scotland here in Bristol. But the game last week against the Aussies, like, man, the English, they know how to put on a show. And I think they lead the way when it comes to women's sport and really kind of embracing it and giving it the respect it deserves. You've seen it in football, Lionesses at the Euros.
You should have said around Brighton. We're just sort of walking around before, just looking for someone to watch USA Samoa, sweating bullets, just making sure that we can actually get through to the quarterfinals. And you're walking around, every single person's in an England jersey. Like it is, the whole city is just packed with people who are going to the game or getting ready to it. Like they've got the cowboy hats on as well, which is Ellie Kildun and Just Breach.
I think so.
Yeah, their whole brand's Rugby Radio. So like they've got that connection with the fans that isn't just England. And what?
What was that?
What do you mean? What was that?
Gee, leave the cheering and the support.
that was yeah.
It was meant
Never
to
do
be
an English accent again. One of the easiest accents to ever pull off.
Yeah, but you can't pull off.
All right. You give it a go, Joe.
Yeah. Go
All
on.
right. England. You know, or
That-
England.
exactly.
You're in Bristol.
England.
That's pretty bad as well.
Oh, yeah, I'm in
my point
Bristol.
rest.
You're England.
Well, again, well,
Serious
Oh,
actually,
you'd be like Geordie, you know, England, like.
something I do want to bring up actually, because lads, I'm not happy.
England, like.
You know, having been here for better, more than half of a week now, and we've just found out literally 10 minutes before recording this that Nick W actually lived in Bristol for a year, I think. So I don't know.
Yeah, and you're throwing shade at me for my shitty recommendations. Yeah, there we go. There it is. It comes out now.
Nick, buddy, mate, we're on the same team here. I wasn't even going to go near your shitty recommendations, but it is a cool place, Bristol, and your recommendations were appreciated, mate. So there's still a lot to see and do, I think. So all the recommendations, we're all ears.
So, serious question off the back of like the point you guys have been talking about in terms of the narrative of the World Cup, because I mean, there's so many great narratives. I think all the personalities that have come through from this side of the world. There's been a lot of key stars and big names standing up. Off the back of your point, Finn, serious question: what do you reckon would be the best result of this World Cup as it stands now? Because while I do think you have a really good point that it would be really cool to see a nation like Canada win the World Cup because it shows that the sport is growing. At the same time, I mean, the narrative has kind of been, no disrespect to any Kiwi fans genuinely listening on this podcast, but England are seen as favourites to win this tournament. Would it be actually the right result for the women's game if England won this tournament? Serious question.
I think, the final in a couple of weeks, I think it's 82,000 at Twickenham. Allianz Stadium, it's sold out. Obviously we want to see England probably in that final in that regard, for the fans to really kind of get amongst it in the best way. Like if the Red Roses can get to the big dance, you would imagine the scenes of the bus rocking up to Twickenham. We all know that kind of that walk the players do, the England men's team usually and the women's team when they have played at Twickenham, walking in from the bus into the stadium. It's pretty cool how the fans get around it. So if the Red Roses were in the final, that'd be pretty cool. And I think maybe as rugby fans, people would love to see a rematch of 3 years ago, right? Like Red Roses versus Black Ferns, considering how that game ended. I think it was a 3-point game. England had a red card 20, 30 minutes in and still came within a driving maul of potentially winning that final. And it's still the one test they've lost in 8 years, I think was that World Cup final. So there's a bit of unfinished business there for the English. And if they can get to the final, play in front of 82,000 fans, home fans at Twickenham, the spiritual home of rugby, many would say, that's pretty cool. And I think that rivalry that's already there, that's established with the Black Ferns, would be pretty special. But I think, Canada, look, there's storylines everywhere, right? Like even France, England, I think in the Six Nations earlier this year, the Women's Six Nations was quite competitive, very, very close. So potentially if they met at some stage, that'd be cool. But Canada as well. I
feel like it's got to be England there. My thought is they've put so much money into the women's game and they need to see a return. They can't have this sort of run where it's just 2 30-game winning streaks that are just in between World Cup defeats. In order for the women's game to actually grow and to legitimately go to the next stage, England has to win, I think. England has to win so the money and the resources keep funneling through. They can make PWR the standalone, the sort of main league in women's sport, also in women's rugby, get all the teams sort of filled in with all the other, Six Nations talent, the Canadian talent still playing there, USA, maybe a bit more Australian, and that's how the game grows. Because I think I have this bad feeling if England lose, then essentially the sort of rhetoric will be, we've put a decade's worth of the resources into this side and they've delivered us nothing. Let's just strip it back and go back to where it was 15 years ago.
But lads, just a bit of 2 cents for people on the ground. It has been a really fun tournament too. I think that's really important to say. Results aside, the results are very important. Obviously, rugby sport results in business. But you look at Samoa, how they reacted after every match they played in the pool stages, despite pretty heavy defeats. Brazil scoring their first women's World Cup try just over a week ago against France in Exeter. Even South Africa qualifying for their first women's Rugby World Cup quarterfinal. So there's really cool and special atmosphere and feel about this tournament so far. And I think we've felt that as the media in terms of access and just kind of you feel the significance of this event as you do at a Men's World Cup as well. But it's been pretty cool. So hopefully, obviously, Nath, he's not very biased, of course, but he'll be hoping for another 2 weeks. So interesting to see what happens this weekend.
And he wants another 2 weeks just so he doesn't have to hang around Nick face to face, I guess.
That as well, yeah.
It's kind of just this eternal dread. We've been on the road for about a month together now or a few weeks here in the UK, and it's half of what we talk about is basically just avoiding having to go back to Sydney. So we can kind of just
can't blame you.
Keep our space.
Finn, are you around whatever happens until the final?
Yeah, I am actually. So here to the big dance and then off on a plane the day after the final to Perth for the Bledisloe. So it's all
How
weeks ahead. So I'm pretty homesick's not the right word. I'm keen to get home. I think I used my good trusty friend ChatGPT the other day to kind of figure out just how many days I've been on the road since the start of the Lions. I think I left the Lions about 80 days ago. So it's been a big old slog, but good fun too, right? So but through here to the final. So will Australia be there? Yeah, I think that was
how funny we lost.
I agree with that.
Yeah, that was it's a really hot break. But you can't be saying that on a podcast. So,
yeah, that's crazy.
That's crazy.
That's the first time I've actually had to use a dump button. That's crazy.
Nick Vasiliev has been cancelled, everyone. No one asked me, but I'll give my thoughts anyway.
Can we look at?
Look at that.
Can we talk a little bit about Nick's photo, please?
And for those, let's just describe it because this is a podcast after all. We can't just kind of again. Nick is pulling the best blue steel of his life. Like
he's got a little display picture, as his little icon. He doesn't have his video on, so his display pictures come on. And it's him doing his little blue seal, sitting on some steps, looking very sultry, wearing a black leather coat, very Malcolm Turnbull of him, looking down the barrel of.
Is that catfish?
Says the bloke whose pictures Jar Jar Binks with a six-pack.
See,
I can't change it. Leave me alone.
You guys have been missing. You guys, I was just going to say, I'm just going to leave it here right now and say, look at this face. Look at this face that you're looking at. Are you sure you don't want to come back to Sydney?
That is a catfish, 100%.
Yeah. That's how good it is. That's what we're going to do. Run away.
Yeah. Speaking of fun segues, I mean, talking about you coming back to the Bledisloe, should we talk Rugby Championship and how we're feeling?
Are you the host? Are you the host or what? What's going on here, mate? You come in.
I was waiting for you.
Sultry photo, a shit internet, and you just derailing the pod of always at one, brother.
Guys,
I'm a little excited. Looking at that photo, I won't lie. Triple whammy.
Lads, I'm thrilled to be here as a guest, but I feel like there were certain roles that were discussed pre-recording that aren't being respected right now. And
all right, fine, I'll host.
No,
I kind of want to host now. Anyway, welcome to the Morton podcast.
Yeah, right, Nick. We'll talk about the Rugby Championship. Guess we will. So after the game on the weekend, Australia and Argentina, you boys ended up doing the instant reaction. And, I was out and about. I honestly can't really remember a whole lot of the South Africa-New Zealand game after because that was a bit blotto. I remember the first try and I remember the scrum that South Africa put on. That's the two things I can remember. But so for good reason, I kind of ducked out instant reaction. But also, I didn't really know what to say about the game. And to my mind, both games were so kind of messy in their own way. Like the score performances went one way and then just turned around in the second half or in the last 20 minutes. So I guess, I don't know. I apologize if you boys really wanted to talk to me. But
it's great now. Right here.
Yeah.
Too scattered brain to actually give a reaction.
I think we should just quiet and let Nick keep going for another 2 minutes with this analysis because I feel like it's.
Thank you, Finn.
Yeah.
We're about the relationship. We're not just pure analysis, all right? We're not your dreary Presbyterian New Zealand approach to life, where it's all just fact and dry humor.
I was just gonna say, like, isn't it just rabbit holes? We're literally all about just going down random tangents and rabbit holes. That's this podcast.
Yeah, it's all like I'm trying to pull it back together, but I keep getting interrupted. Fucking hell. Anyway,
control the host. Come on.
Well, lads,
well, I'm trying. I'm just trying to wax and lyrical. So yeah, that was my kind of approach to the game, and I still kind of feel very iffy about it. Not really sure. I mean, Harry Wilson's captaincy call was inspiring. Oh, captain, my captain. If you watch it on video, you can see that's my little caption today. So I guess I don't know if it's changed much for you, but the team got announced. We've got, I think I've got it. Well, Nick Frost and Lenny Katoa rested. I guess you could say the same about Tom Robertson, but Slipper's coming for him. Jeremy Williams coming for Nick Frost, and Hunter Paisami, Dylan, friend of the pod's favorite player, is in at 12. And I think I'm missing. Oh, and Tane, of course, fly half. How could you forget that? And then I think on the bench, we've got Luke Hands in for, I guess, the Nick Champion de Crepigny role.
Oh, Nick Frost. Nick Frost being out.
Nick Frost is out, yeah.
Is he out or?
Yeah,
or
like
rested?
he's rested from the 23.
Oh,
so
right.
like,
Okay. Yep. And I can't remember who else. I think I'm forgetting one more person who.
Josh Nasser.
Josh Nasser in for BPA.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. How do we feel about this game? How do we feel about the Wallabies? And I want to know, Finn, what you think about the Wallabies when we get to it. But how do Nick and Nathan, how do we feel about the team and kind of the regular voices of this pod? How do we feel?
I'll let the man on the ground go first.
Oh, I have so much power all of a sudden when you said that to me like that. Do it more often. So,
hurry up, Nick.
long
Again.
No, lost your chance. Well done.
Honest to God. Okay, so I think it's an okay squad. I am a little bit wary of going into this particular weekend because my thoughts were off the back of the South Africa series that the Wallabies really should, if they're really looking to try and maintain that momentum of growth and progression. I mean, chatting with Johnny Drennan about it earlier today, he kind of feels like so many Wallaby games can be such boom and bust. There feels like there's so much riding on every single match. I do think the Wallaby bench is, really proved the difference in Townsville. They really were. It really helps us to change the momentum, and I think Contepomi is fully aware of that, which is why he's put Pablo Matera on the bench for the Pumas, because he's looking for that more senior player to really kind of up the ante for the Pumas come the second half. But at the same time, I mean, it's a bold couple of choices that Joe is going with. I mean, Tane has been talked about a lot as a really exciting prospect. There's been a lot of discourse around him. A lot of people have said a lot of stuff about him. There was a natural point where he was going to, inevitably be picked. By the sounds of it, I think it makes sense.
Well,
if you're going to do it, now's the time to do it.
Quite really.
If you're going to do it, now's the time to do it, because you've got a backup in James O'Connor on the bench if stuff goes south. Tom Liner is injured. Ben Donaldson is injured. Noah's overseas. When else are you going to do it?
Injured?
Yeah,
Liner's injured with a hamstring, with a hammy. Yeah. So you're going to do it. I'm a little bit more worried about the locks and the centres, to be honest, a bit more than Tane. New combination with Hunter Paisami and Suolihi. Not to say that they're bad players or anything like that. That one I'm a little bit more concerned about, considering how insanely good the Argentinian centre pairing is. And also just Williams and God, I'm drawing a blank. Williams and Hooper, obviously time together, played together. Obviously, they've played plenty of Wallaby games together, but combinations in a starting capacity, I'm a little bit more wary of. But, some of the changes are necessary. I think we're going to have another thriller, put it simply, on our hands, because I reckon the Pumas will be up for this one.
Yeah, look, I'll build on that as well and say, I think that second row is maybe a little light. Williams and Hooper playing together, sort of maybe compromising a little bit on height there, but I think again,
Height's not important.
that says you.
Exactly.
But again, a bit more mobile, so you can sort of play again afternoon footy, get a bit more sort of running rugby in there. You're right around the centres. That concerns me. Like you can tell there's a lot of work defensively where he can just cover up a lot of sort of where Sule is still learning in that game in that regard. I will say this: I thought his defensive performance was a lot better last week, but it's a big ask against an Argentinian side who were very good when they were sort of able to attack off that midfield scrum and really sort of piece them apart there. Look, with Tane Edmund, it's all or nothing for him. Like this is a game for me that he has to he's not going to get a better opportunity than this in the sense of Donaldson's probably back for the Bledisloe, Line is back for the Bledisloe. If he really wants to make a sort of impact, it has to be this game. Yeah, Allianz Stadium where he's used to as well, Sydney in front of his sort of friends and family. This has got to be his game. The only other sort of comment I'll make on the squad is I'm surprised they didn't go with Ryan Lonergan in some capacity. Like if three Wallabies coaches have brought him into squads and he still hasn't got a game. You're not going to blood him against Bledisloe, although this is famous last words and he'll probably get blooded at Eden Park if I'm sort of predicting what Joe does, which is everything else I predict. I would have liked to see him get a go, but I can understand that generally sort of Joe likes Tate in that finisher role. It means you're probably then starting Lonergan and Edmund, who haven't played too much together, also two very experienced halves to be going up at test level. So my only thought would be, again, potentially starting O'Connor with Lonergan or at least getting him some kind of involvement at test level because I feel like he's done the graft to deserve it.
Yeah. I reckon Lonas plays against Japan. That's what I'm feeling at the moment.
I think it's all close. I mean, Nick White, ever since he retired, has been playing out of his skin. Who would have thought this is the first guy ever?
Seriously,
play better after retirement.
Yeah, more players. I believe that he must be laughing at it himself. In Townsville, he was like, "Look, I'm just going to call it as it is. It's semi-retired. I'm literally in a permanent state of semi-retired right now." Which I was like, "Yeah, that sounds fair enough." It's just been a weird old farewell tour for him. But yeah, look, I'm quite wary. I'm quite wary of this Pumas side, particularly because they've really developed a knack of if they lose the first game, they come back and win really, really well. I mean, we literally just saw it against
Nick,
the All Blacks.
Before we get stuck into our Pumas, let's round off Australia. So Finn, new voice, new look.
That look.
The only other person on this. Oh no, actually no. I was going to say the only other person on this podcast can grow a moustache, but Nick's got a moustache in his little photo. So,
yeah, what a photo it is.
Yeah.
I think Ryan Lonergan, something about Eden Park, right? He kicked the winner against the Blues there earlier this year in Super Rugby. So maybe it's destiny, maybe it's meant to be. It does seem a bit bizarre that he hasn't been given a run yet, but like you said, Nick, I think that Japan test does make sense and looms as a pretty good opportunity going to that spring tour. I mean, Nick White can't go on that spring tour, can he? Like, you can't go from being retired to then suddenly you play the Rugby Championship, fine, understand injuries, but at the same time, like, he's actually been pretty bloody good. Yeah. So, it's just, I don't know. But I think,
what about the Wallabies at large? What do you think? Actually, and let's extend that to the whole Rugby Championship. What do you think of them at large and how they're going and all that?
Well, I mean, you guys can probably get a better sense of this being actually back home in Australia, but, from what I can see online and even just talking to some mates and stuff, right? Like, the Wallabies are back, and that's pretty cool. Like, the fact that there's this...
Sorry, can I share? I'm passionate about this. Can I share this? Because I'm the only guy who doesn't work in sport, right? So people talking about sport is nothing. My manager has talked to me about the Wallabies. My ex-manager sent me a text and said, "Oh, look at the Wallabies go." For example, a guy who I talked to about soccer at work came up to me and he's like, "So what's the deal with the Wallabies?" This was on the, he was like, "I saw the thing in South Africa." This was yesterday, but it's crazy, man. It's like that orc in Lord of the Rings and, the age of men is over. The time of the orc has begun. It's the same thing with the Wallabies.
Niche reference.
I was going to say that, but you beat me to it.
So
thank you.
We're no longer living in the shadows. That's the best.
Yeah, exactly. And forget what happens in the rest of the movie. And that guy gets proved wrong. But That's how I feel. I
think-
feel as ugly as that guy looking at the bright sunshine. Sorry, Finn. You can continue on.
No, talk about Lord of the Rings all you want. I think it's. I
Yeah.
feel bad shutting you down, but I just want to say I think something I've really kind of observed at this World Cup, and I think it applies to the Wallabies as well, is what does it mean to actually be a fan and kind of connect with your team? And it's obviously seeing a bit of yourself in that team, obviously relating to them in some capacity, and I think you're seeing that with a lot of obviously young girls, women, obviously blokes as well supporting the Wallaroos. Say that's quite cool, but with the Wallabies, I think what Australians love is ticker, is fight, is character, right? We've seen that throughout the entire test season so far. That Fiji game in Newcastle, Harry Wilson scores with 2 minutes to go and they win that game. Sure, that first Lions test was a bit of a dud in terms of, the Lions won that comfortably in the end, didn't they? I think it was a 14-point game. Tate scored late into the piece. But aside from that, second test, the Wallabies came so close to winning at the MCG. And I think that really galvanised the sporting fandom in Australia, like neutrals, rugby league fans, Aussie rules fans, because they went, hey, this Australian team who nobody gave a chance just took on 4 nations and very nearly won. And I think people wanted to see them bounce back the next week in Sydney. They did that. They go to Joburg, end a 60-plus year drought after coming back from 22 points down, very nearly win in Cape Town. And then last week, Harry Wilson, turning down 3 kickable penalties to chase that try, and then belly crashes over Angus Bell. There's real fight and character about this team. And, Joe Schmidt, what he's done, it's really starting to take effect, I think, and this team's come such a long way. And even 12 months, it is a shame that he's, of course, moving on next year. Les Kiss taking over, but, of course, Joe's reason's very fair. But there's no reason to say that this Wallabies team can't challenge for the World Cup in 2 years' time. I'd go that far. On home soil, with Australia behind them. I think this Wallabies team won't just be seen as a dark horse going to that World Cup. I think they'll be seen as a contender.
So, yeah. Okay, so one comment and a question based on what you said. So, the comment is, because Michael Checker has been around the media talking a bit I would never want to coach the Reds, nothing on the Reds, but you got to be passionate. And when he coached the Wallabies, they had that passion, like you were saying, the fight and all that. It was and then we want to play running rugby. We've got all that. But it was a bit misguided. It was a bit of a shotgun blast. I've went to so many Bledisloe games at Homebush, and it was just all over the shop. And they'd kind of come back at the end, but by that time it was already, 40-24. The All Blacks had already won the game. But he had that kind of fight and fire in him. And it's funny with the Joe era is that fight is there, but it's not bellicose. There is no kind of swagger to it. It's humble, it's focused, but it's still, who are we and what we want to do. And I think that's the biggest mark of this era. And I think, if you watch the video of Harry Wilson going, no, we'll go for it, and turn around, goes, fucking, you ready to go, cunts? I think is what he said.
Let's fucking go, cunts.
And then he said it's like what the fans would want me to do.
Yeah, the quote at the end, he said, I had 25,000 fans telling me to go for the corner. Which I think really, really says a lot. You could hear it. The moment that he said we're going to go to the corner, you really felt the energy shift in that stadium because everyone collectively went, oh, they're going for it. And it was pretty loud, which is uncharacteristic for an Australian audience, by the way. It was loud for the remainder of that match because there was tap and go.
It's very our cricket team. It's very that, silently confident swagger, like a Pat Cummins kind of captaincy, same kind of deal. Anyway, but my question to you... Yeah, sorry.
Now, what I was going to say, I don't think you had a choice.
No.
At what stage is
do not ruin the illusion, Nathan.
Yeah, but it'll be looked at as a defining moment for this Wallabies team in 2025, I think, because if that doesn't come off, then Harry Wilson, the Wallabies as a collective, would be, it'd be a very different conversation, wouldn't it? We'd be going, well, why didn't they take the points, settle for the draw? That would have, the fact they got the win is huge for their hopes of taking out the TRC, but even a draw would have been okay. If you go back 10 years ago to the 2015 World Cup, England, was it against Wales, I think? they had a chance to draw that, which have again had a big say on whether or not they would have made it past the
Oh
pool.
yeah, that's right.
But
They went for the
they went
line
for the
out
corner.
option at the back.
And it didn't. It was Chris Robshaw, the captain of England that day. It didn't come off. And again, you're talking about these things very differently, you know. So,
Oh yeah, totally.
but again, the character and just the confidence, the sheer confidence that'll come out of a moment like that, of going, hey, look, when we back ourselves. That's what the Wallabies would be saying. And yeah, they've come such a long way in 12 months, and they've got 2 years now before the World Cup. And yeah, watch out.
So my question to you, watch out indeed. Watch yourself. But my question to you boys as journos, like, where do you see that coming from? Because you said Joe before, Finn. Do you think it's Joe? Do you think it's Joe and Harry? Was this the same at Ireland, or has he kind of gone, I got to match this Australian character of my squad?
I think it's Harry. Sorry.
I reckon it's a combination. I think so. Funnily enough, I had this kind of conversation earlier today with Dredden at Sydney Morning Herald, and he talked a lot about what happened, with that Irish side after Joe departed, and how there was he would give them honest, direct, straight feedback that was sharp and sometimes honestly kind of brutal. And it led to, over time, the squad stopped believing it. They didn't receive it the right way. And of course, things kind of went south. They lost to Japan. Things, the results didn't go the way they were. And after that, he departed. I think it's particularly notable that sort of approach is now being used at the Wallabies, and the team is loving it. The team is loving the brutal honesty of listening to how the coaches are actually working with the squad. It basically sounds to me like the team is patching themselves up. They know what they're doing, and they're patching themselves up, and the coaches are coming in and giving guidance where they need it. And it is extremely honest, direct, and to the point. That's kind of what a lot of the comments that have been made by the players say. Bell on Monday literally was like, they would tell me exactly what was wrong, and they would not mince words about it. And it's the sort of feedback that I really respond quite well to, because it gives me a direct, clear goal to focus on and work on. So whatever it is, it's kind of, I think it's that sort of approach combined with having the sort of captain that you have in Wilson, who sets that standard by not saying a lot and just doing action. So so combining that together, it's kind of turned into a situation where the rising tide lifts all ships, so to speak, which is, I think, really interesting in terms of the progression of Joe Schmidt as a coach. That he departed Ireland having really transformed that program and transformed that nation, with a team that didn't really kind of that sort of approach and no nonsense take really inevitably started to eat away at the team. And now he's potentially going to finish his professional rugby career. I mean, never say never in terms of what comes next in the future, with a team that absolutely loves that approach, which is interesting to me.
One point I'll make, and I apologize for whoever I'm stealing this from, but it's such a good point that I saw on social media, is Schmidt is essentially brought the island style into Australia, and that comes into how they play on the field, how they react off the field. But he now has the sort of athletes that he didn't there to really sort of impart that sort of guide and wisdom. Like, in the sense of, you have strong leaders, like, not that they didn't have an island, but you have already figures like Slipper, Slipper, Alatoa, Wilson, who have gone through a lot, seen a lot in this game, particularly Slipper and Alatoa, who can kind of back up the captain and whoever's sort of going through. You've had guys that have gone through a lot of drama as well. Yep, that as well. Like, a lot of sort of ups and downs, and they're looking for just direct feedback after what happened with Eddie. But you then also have that sort of play style that's a bit more structured, a bit more direct, but you have the finishing talent of Suolitis, Jorgensen's, Ikataus, these guys who can just now all of a sudden create something off nothing. So you're almost getting this sort of the best marriage of both. Like, it just, again, Schmidt's the Wallabies just feels like, in terms of when you reflect on it, just feels like such a right time, right sort of move, right decision, sort of pick that's just continued to pay off. And yeah, that belief is coming to, whether it's, again, I think Nick sort of raised a point around Joe as well with the coaching staff. Mike Cron at scrum time, the confidence he's put into those forwards that they can dominate and they can get on top of teams. Jeff Parling beforehand, now Tom Donnelly as the set piece coach or lineup coach. There's confidence there that they can dominate that area. and they can sort of control a game there. Like the whole staff that they brought in has just been sort of the perfect blend of what essentially this Wallabies team needed, whilst world-class expertise that is just improving their crafts. Where you have guys like Nick Frost, who isn't playing, who's now legitimately in contention to be a top 5 lock in the world, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
You then have incredible outside backs and midfielders coming through, props that are holding their own. Like we're now at a stage where Angus Bell comes off, essentially plays 40 minutes and just looks like one of the most damaging players out there. And you don't need him necessarily to start. It's just, again, it just
crazy.
Feels like the perfect marriage, and we're just starting to sort of see the good times. I'm just hoping this isn't a honeymoon. This is just what continues through when we get Liz Kiss in as well, and hopefully, again, just sort of continues the systems and the processes.
Can I actually just build off something just and then, like, I hope this isn't like the honeymoon type, because I actually said that to you the other day. Like, we were talking about the shift of the Wallabies and how great it has been, especially as Australian rugby journos, where, I've sat next to this man.
You're not bringing this up.
Had a lot of test matches where they haven't gone the way of our home nation. So, no, but like, I think if the Wallabies, it's the psyche of Australian sports fans, right? Like, if the Wallabies lose to the All Blacks badly, like, it's hard to see how they can keep maintaining this kind of upward trend and support. Like, I would love to see it, but results are so important. But I genuinely think this Wallabies team has changed for the better, and I think that's important too. Like the combination of Joe, yes, leaders, guys like Allen, Harry Wilson, even Fraser getting the captaincy against the Box and Joburg. But also keep in mind, the Australian under-20s in 2019 made the final of the World Champs in Argentina. They lost to France by 1 point. This was seen as like a golden generation. These players are effectively, a lot of these guys are effectively in their prime now. And they have one of the best coaches of the last decade in international rugby leading them. And I think they're starting to realise their potential, or at least they're on their way to doing that. And there's genuine progress. So, yeah, how good.
Yeah, how good. And before we move on to South Africa and New Zealand, I'll leave it with this point, which I've been pondering. Is it because we are being led by Queenslanders and a guy from Maitland, Nick White? It's a scary thought. Is that what the difference is?
Hang on a minute. Harry, this pod stands for certain things, and we claim Harry Wilson as New South Wales in this house.
He's from Canada,
he is.
Thank you.
But he's been raped by Queenslanders, like a little boy lost in the woods.
But that spirit is New South Wales spirit at his core.
Yeah. I'm just saying, Nathan, because it's got a lot of dog in there, and that's not necessarily New South Wales spirit. Anyway, let's move on to Finn's favorite topic, which is talking about the All Blacks. So let's talk about South Africa and New Zealand. So I haven't. So like I said, I didn't really watch this game, and obviously New Zealand I don't feel I've watched this game, and haven't had time to watch it back. I didn't really watch New Zealand and Argentina, but I have watched the All Blacks twice, at least. And I just kind of feel the All Blacks are trying to be two different things at the same time, not really pulling it off. And the fans aren't really taking that well, and they keep blaming the ref. Even I saw Victor Matfield complain about the ref. We'll start with you, Finn, on this. Your favorite topic, the All Blacks. Now, I'll confess, I haven't watched the All Blacks games in Argentina, time difference. And like I said before, wasn't really there, well, consciously, for this game on the weekend. I remember you telling me they were your favorites for 2027. 27's a bit off, but they don't look like the gold, untouchable All Blacks. They did kind of look, I still remember this, they looked on the back foot for the last 20 minutes against South Africa. And meanwhile, South Africa, I've watched them twice. They kind of look there like in a mad transition period, and their fans don't really know how to deal with that. Like, the first 10 minutes against Wallabies, they were shit hot, and then they just kind of collapsed. Anyway, let's go. Let's start. What are your feelings on this whole saga?
Yeah, I think, yes, saga is a good word, because I think when Razor Scott Robinson came into the job after the World Cup in 23, everyone kind of thought, well, this guy's done it with Canterbury, NPC, NZ20s, and of course the Crusaders. He won a few titles there, I think. I think people expected Razor to kind of inherit this All Blacks team that went to the World Cup final in 23 and for everything to kind of be okay. And we're here, a little over a year on in terms of from his first actual game in charge. And you're right, like it's the consistencies of performance is still a question that needs to be addressed, I think, for the All Blacks. You saw that in Argentina. They win the first game but then lose the second. Even now, they beat the Springboks in Auckland. Can they go back to back and beat them again to win the Freedom Cup when they play at Wellington's Sky Stadium this weekend? So, it's a big test for them. Tell you what, because if they went 0-2, I think that'd be a real concern. If they can go 2-0 against the Springboks, then again, very different conversation we're having, sometime in the future about, hey, the All Blacks maybe found their mojo. So they've named a decent team. I think, Damien McKenzie shifting to fullback. I think, was that injury forced or? I don't think so. Like Rico's not in the team. McKenzie comes in at fullback, or Jordan on the wing. Leroy Carter, All Black Sevens alum, gets his debut on the left wing. So again, some interesting combos, but I think the All Blacks, they're still trying to find their best team. And Bowden Barrett and McKenzie on the same field at the same time, I don't know how consistent that can work game to game, because I think they're two very different players, two very great players. But it seems, having flashbacks to 2019 of Barrett and Mwanga, right? Like, how do you unlock two great players? How do you let them play at their best together? It's pretty tough. So, the All Blacks, if they can go out and win in Wellington this weekend, huge result for them, and maybe they have found their groove. But if they lose, then we're going to be having some serious questions, I think, about what it is they need to really take that next step.
Yeah, that's crazy. Are all Barretts playing? All three Barretts?
Yeah, they are. Yeah, so Scott's captain.
No Kane.
No, Kane Barrett's not playing.
Respect for Kane Barrett.
Sorry. Kane Barrett, of course. Another brother who he was in the blue system at one point, but never became an All Black. So, all three are playing, all three in the starting team. I mean, I think the midfield combo of Geordie Barrett and Billy Proctor is pretty secure in the sense that I think people wanted to really have a run. He has not been the same player for the All Blacks that he was for the Hurricanes in Super Rugby. And there's been some discussion about that. But I still feel like that's a combination worth persisting with right now. But I love Leroy Carter getting a debut, actually. I think that's brilliant. I think he's a solid talent. Pretty good under the high ball. I think the fastest player in New Zealand rugby.
Okay. It's just copying off Corey Toole.
Yeah. Basically, it's just...
Is he as quick as Corey?
I doubt it.
I don't think so.
I doubt it.
But still rapid. Yeah,
but I think Leroy's got... he's a very strong player too. Like, he was a gun on the 7 Series, and... he's good dude. Yeah. So keen to see how he goes.
So I guess Nathan, I'm not sure if you could find time. Actually, I found it quite humorous during the instant reaction. Nick was like, "You're about to go to the women's game," and you're like, "It's 8 hours away." I'm fine.
It was trying to throw me off.
Yeah. How do you boys feel about New Zealand and South Africa and/or?
I think New Zealand. I think I'm more worried about South Africa than anybody in terms of in this sort of rugby championship. Like, they feel like a team which just sort of. I'm not sure how this will age. This could age badly, but maybe descending into madness. Like, seriously, like the team.
No, I'm with you, Nathan. No, I am with you.
Finn's face says it all.
They do that midfield line-out move, and you're like, what is the point of this? You're concentrating all your forwards for no reason. Everyone knows what's happening.
Everyone knows now, but that's because they've done it a few times, right? Like, do they have any other tricks up their sleeve? Other ones? Like,
I just think they're a team that, again, have a golden generation of talent. That golden generation just might not be what it was 3 or 4 years ago.
And the Wallabies beat the Springboks one time.
No, but seriously though, they got beat by Ellis Park by a team that started Nick White and James O'Connor. Mm-hmm. They then go out and then if James O'Connor hit his penalties,
You know, and we had like 7 injuries. I mean, Tane Edmund and James O'Connor didn't know who was 10 and who was 12.
No. Like the reality was they started this year with 2 games against Italy and Georgia where, let's face it, like Italy, the worst team in the Six Nations, that not named Wales, and Georgia, who are a tier 2 side. Like that wasn't a true benchmark of where this team was. Oh, and a Barbarian side, which was on the piss. Like, yeah, you can make the argument that maybe they just have some time to work in the year, but work into the season. But like, unless you start seeing these younger players come through and, you know, consistently put on great test performances, I wonder what this team looks like in 2 years' time. I really do. Because, I feel like, again, they looked like in the first 40, 50 minutes, so predictable. It looked like the All Blacks just went out there. It's like somebody had dropped the team shade off not the team shade, the tactical shade off 20 minutes before and said, hey, this is what they're running. Because they just picked everything. And like, I'm going to talk about sort of New Zealand still finding their feet under Razor and what's that identity look like. They looked a class above them for 50, 55 minutes. It was only that bench and that, again, incredible scrum effort in the last 20, 25 minutes that got South Africa in. So if I'm looking at the pressure, who's under more pressure and to sort of in this, out of the 4 teams at Rugby Championship, I think it's South Africa by far. Like, imagine, just final point on this, imagine if they then go, say, even if they win on the weekend, imagine if they then go and lose another game to Argentina. That's as best they give 3-3 is potentially is what they could be staring at. Like that would be, again, I know Rassie is king in South Africa, but if you're a South African fan, you're going to be wondering, what is our team looking like if we're all of a sudden limping through the Rugby Championship? So this week is massive for them.
And before I shoot over to you, Nick, I think one really interesting thing, talking about that chaos, Nathan, which is, I totally agree. They can't just seem to press a button that goes, you know, up the guts and into them, which is what South Africa is.
Yeah.
Line out works like a dream. Scrum is a dream. You know, line gain dream. It's just gone completely. It's so weird, especially when you got someone like Ebenet Smith, who's been there for 1 million years, will be here for 1 million more years. Just get nowhere. But anyway, Nick, All Blacks.
Yeah.
Talk. South Africa.
Look, I'll be 100% honest. Watching this game back, I thought South Africa was shocking. I was like, I'm not going to mince words here. I thought they were absolutely shocking. I thought to myself, mate, because there's been so much talk about if this run that the All Blacks have had at Eden Park is, let's call it a spade. It's phenomenal. Like to go unbeaten at a venue in 31 years is incredible. But the more the wins and the more that it happens, that inevitably that loss is inevitably going to come. It will inevitably come. And I genuinely thought that there was a potential chance this weekend, that weekend just gone. But off Nathan's point, I was like, what the heck is going on with this side? I don't know what it was, but they were very clearly a class below the All Blacks in that match. And I think you should be very, very disappointed if you're a South African fan. Conversely, I mean, I do expect them to bounce back. These are the World Cup champions. They're back-to-back World Cup champions. They're a very, very good side. I do think they have to be a bit more direct. I think enough with the flowery crap, to be honest. I think there's a great quote that BPA said, because they asked about, the line out to BPA, and BPA said, I'm just going to deal with what's in front of me. If they're going to do a line out in the middle of the field, so be it. I'm just focusing on what's directly in front of me. I'm not going to be guessing exactly what the Springboks are doing. Are they going to do a line out here? Are they going to do something crazy here? Are they going to do the freaking traffic light system? I don't care about all that crap. I'm just going to play what's in front of me. And I think that is such a fresh and cleansing, simple way to look past all the crap and the bullshit that is clearly done to effectively serve as some form of misdirection. If you are a South African fan, or if you're Rassie and you're listening to this, which I know you're not, just enough with the crap. Just enough with the crap. Play some goddamn decent rugby. That's all I care about. Like, that's what I'd be thinking about. Enough of the freaking line-out mauls in the middle of the field. Enough of all that sort of crap. actually play like bloody World Cup champions. Jesus. And I expect them to turn up at Sky in Wellington. I expect them to show up because, to your point, to Nathan's point, if there is a team that is under pressure, I agree it is South Africa. I thought that was shocking, to be honest.
Yeah, hey, and just while we're talking about that, I agree with you. You know, enough about the South Africans. I'll wrap it up. I actually completely forgot we did not talk about Argentina and then how they're going. So we probably should. Not, Nick, to your point, not that they're listening, probably because they can't understand a word we're saying. But
pretty much all of the Pumas can speak English, mate. It's just the fact that we can barely speak
Argentinian
English.
fans.
Yeah,
I've seen some of the
it's
comments
more
come
about
through.
us than them.
Yeah. It's so funny, actually. I was watching the game and, right at the end when Australia's at the line and the fullback was captain. I don't know the fullback's name. Malia. And Paul Williams calls him over. And this guy he's playing in 30-degree heat, 35-degree heat. It's 80th minute. And the referee calls him over. And in his second language, this guy's going, "Oh, bro, you're offside, eh?" It's so, there's no effort. Like, I don't know. Do any of these referees even learn like offside in French or Spanish just to even the load? You know, it's crazy to me, especially after a scrum, because I know Montoya got called on a break foot. It's like, what the fuck is break foot? You know what I mean? Like,
I'm pretty sure Ben O'Keefe can speak French. I think.
Can he?
Is that right?
I think so. Yeah.
I think so. If not, then well.
But you know what I mean, though, right?
Yeah.
like, just I can tell you the call.
Yeah, some learn stuff. I think Angus Gardner might have in the past, even if it's just phrases, because I think it's important.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, I guess that's I feel so sorry for him. But let's talk about Argentina. I really like Argentina. I really like the way they play. They're actually probably the most Australian side outside of Australia, I feel. And I always I want them to have success, but I also kind of know that success will be most easily found against Australia. So I feel a bit conflicted. But yeah, I mean, I guess, Finn, you watched both games in Argentina against the ABs. For me, definitely, I've only seen them play against Australia. I don't think they were all that. They had some great midfield scrum tries in them, but anyway, I guess, yeah, Finn, I'll start with you. You probably watched them the most.
Well, actually, lads, I've had some issues with my VPN the last few weeks, so I haven't actually watched much rugby. I was listening to the game last weekend on the radio, so pretty
that's old school.
Yeah. So, but Argentina, I think from what I have seen in terms of short highlights, whatever, many matches and stuff, their progression of the results they've had over the last 12 months speak for themselves, right? I think the non-rugby fan would still look at it, the Wallabies beating, or the Pumas beating the All Blacks and go, "What? That's an upset." But put some respect on their name a little bit. You look at the scalps they've claimed over the last 12 months. And me being biased towards the 7 series and my love for rugby sevens, like you see the same thing in sevens as well, where I think in Tokyo they got bronze, I think. That's just my knowledge. But that was kind of like, okay, start of something, but a bit of a surprise. But they quickly developed from being this kind of like mid-table sevens team to consistently the best men's team on the circuit. And I feel like we could see something, maybe not as rapid, but something progressing similar to that in 15s, where Argentina, if they aren't already, are quickly developing into a very real force in the 15s men's game. Like a team that could challenge for a World Cup. Like, my hesitations with the Pumas at this stage still are, at a World Cup, could they win 3 big knockout games in a row to win the World Cup? I still don't think they're quite there yet, but I don't think they're far off. And I think these results in the TRC are showing that. Even for them to go to Townsville, where, like you said, Nick, 35 degrees, bloody hot, humid, everyone speak, and for them
going, mate?
Exactly, they can speak English, but Australian slang is just a different beast altogether, right? So trying to get their heads around that, but for them to lose it in the 86th minute is still a pretty, not a good result for them, but like it's a testament to the team they're quickly developing into, I think. So they're on the rise, I think, and that's not a hot take or anything. No.
Yeah,
And they were
and I
pissed.
guess
They
they're
were
lucky
pissed
they don't
after
have
that
their
result.
fly half.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean,
Was
who
that
likes
Nick?
losing?
They were very much. I just kind of want to add to this point here. Just on the tendency of the Pumas really coming back strong after producing a tough performance. I believe that we're going to see a really strong fight back from them, because after that result, they were not happy, and justifiably so, because if you're ahead by 2 tries, you should be winning those games. And I think there is still an element of learning that's coming with the Pumas. I mean, they blooded a lot of players against England in June. And I do think that there's a lot of connections that are still being built and still coming through in that side. So that there is an element where there is a kind of a bit of an undercooked element to them in terms of their experienced players versus their very young rookies that are kind of coming through. But when they iron that out, which is definitely going to be achieved in time for before 2027, they're going to be formidable.
Yeah, they're a fucking good team. Although they do have that tendency, kind of like Fiji, that when the going gets tough, they kind of lose their rag. And I think they probably need to really shed that to, win those 3 knockout games in a row. But yeah, good team. Shout out to Paul Chechi, a South American contact. Okay, I guess that's all for tonight. It's getting late, or getting a bit
No,
later.
no, there isn't. Don't you dare. Don't you dare.
My God. Yes, exactly. The entire motive for this podcast, I actually thought of something and I completely forgot it. I thought, hey, what would our rugby-related gamer tags be? Mine would be Tolulatu69 and Nick would be NRC Forever. But Nick, the NRC isn't coming back, but it is coming back in spirit.
It is. Super Rugby Oz kicks off tomorrow night. I am currently staying, in Warringah, and I'm literally going to go down the road after to watch the very first match between the Waratahs and the Western Force. And I'm not going to lie, under 19s will be on the Saturday, so it'll be the senior teams playing tomorrow night at Rat Park. If you can, it's free admittance. Everyone who's listening, get down there. It's come down for a night of footy. Seriously, honest to God, it's a very, very short comp, no messing around, but I'm excited by this potentially being a future platform forward to increase the number of professional games in Australian rugby, particularly for those super sides. I mean, hell, I only was in the building for 3 months and we got a 3rd tier comp. You're welcome.
Well, yeah, you held Phil Ward at gunpoint, so we have to have to put something over the line. I'm kidding.
Look.
I'm kidding. I'm not kidding.
I heard there on a list. No. Nick made his fingers a gun and said, "You like it, it's not a real gun, Phil Ward."
What I love about this Oz comp is I'm sort of looking at the teams right now, and it's such a fascinating mix of youth and experience. So the Tars have Matt Phillip captaining, but there's also Sid Harvey, who's again amazing on the 7 circuit this year. Even Jackson Rapata, who's had a lot of hype of him going through the centers. You look at the Force, they're bringing Kurtley Beale off the bench, but you have Boston Fakafuna, who's played for the 20s. Except Reds put outside, which could probably beat some super teams. But again, there's enough time there for McLaughlin Phillips to start and probably get some time under the belt. Even James Martin's off the bench, who was great for the 20s. Brumby's the same. Luke Reimer captain, but you got all these young guys like Jared McLeod getting a start, Linton Early, Toby McPherson. Yes, it's a short comp. Yes, it's only sort of 3 or 4 rounds, but it's 3 or 4 extra games for these guys to actually get used to what Super Rugby standard is, get used to combinations, put themselves out there and potentially push for higher honours. It's this sort of gap is what we're missing when you essentially go into a 6 months pre-season after Super Rugby finishes in June, July. So, yeah, I think this is a great thing. And again, hopefully this is just the start before it builds even more.
And credit to the Waratahs actually speaking about that, because it is exciting that the Waratahs have put a lot of effort into saying these guys are getting called up from Shoot Shield. So it's that, which is probably, I think, the remit that's gone through high performance is we've really got to start focusing on the pathways and really acknowledging the success from pathways. Because so, for instance, they do the Wallabies team list and they'll have their grassroots clubs. next to each
Yeah.
player's name.
It's a very, very Dan McKellar thing. I mean, Jamie Anderson was a great example of that, the sort of English flanker. He killed it in shoot shield, was ready to go home, and then McKellar's like, nah, mate, you're sticking around, and debuted this year for him. Like, he's so big on that club land connection. And this is, again, evident with the people he's picked. Again, a guy like Clayton Franz, playing number 8, who was a gun for a ringer this year. Aniti Finau, who's coming through the Ramwick system. And, again, another would have played 20s and all that stuff if he was sort of fit and going. But, again, and just 6 or 7 of these guys finally getting a chance to sort of pull on into the sky blue and see what they can do.
Yeah, big fan.
I think another element to it, which will kind of be my last point on it, because I'm aware that we've been chewing the fat for an hour here, but it's also the fact that there was something really, really exciting and special about the NRC, which is seeing the likes of your Wallabies and your Super Rugby's players playing out in clubland, going down to those community areas. It's something it's not done, at the big stadiums. There was something amazing and something beautiful and something special about seeing someone like Quade Cooper play for Brisbane City and do his amazing flick passes out in clubland. And you could go up to him after full time and just say hi to him. There was something really awesome. It just felt like a pathways in action, so to speak, which I think is something that Australian rugby really kind of needs. And I think that actually having the actual Super Rugby sides, your Brumbies, your Waratahs, with players from the Shoot Shield, with players from John Dent Cup, with players from the Hospital Challenge Cup, with players from the Fortescue Premier Grade and the WA Academies, it is pathway in action. It's a small comp. It's not necessarily, it's not going to be a money spinner. But I don't think. But sometimes you don't do something for money. You do it because you're watching the Wallabies of tomorrow. It goes back to the whole narrative about that the ARC has. The ARC did with that amazing ad back in 2007, where they said, "You don't know my name yet." And it was a whole bunch of Wallabies, Dean Mums, your Curtly Beals, your David Pococks, who went on to become household names. I'm really excited by this, and I hope people get behind it.
Yeah, I'm saying, especially friendly Kiwi journalists.
I'm excited.
May not be on this call. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Heard it here first. We got to quote that and put it in an ad.
Yeah, it can be. Yeah, #1 article on rugby.com.au.
Kiwi says he's excited.
Yeah,
Kiwi's excited
by Australian rugby.
Kiwi excited to watch rugby.
Hey, and it's on Stan, but it's also on rugby.com.au YouTube channel. So if for some reason you listen to this and don't have Stan, or your
VPN doesn't work.
Or your VPN doesn't work, like Finn. Yeah. Mine works, by the way. I watch both games.
You didn't share it, you dog.
Yeah, and I won't be watching the All Blacks or the Wallabies this weekend, but you bet your bottom dollar I'll be watching Super Rugby AUS. So pretty excited. So how's that?
Good boy.
So before we go, let's end on a fun note. Fun for me, I guess. So if you rewind all the way back to the start, Nathan, you said the good thing about Brighton and Hove Albion Stadium, I think it's the Amex.
Yeah.
Were the facilities. And for you journos, that would be a big impact on how you appreciate stadiums. But from the stadiums you've been to professionally, could you rank your top 5? Oh, and also just on that point, I mean, maybe you guys know this, but apparently, because sorry, forgive me, but I listened to Brett McKay and Harry Jones's podcast, and Harry's got a media permit to the last game of All Black Springboks, and he said Eden Park doesn't have screens, so they're watching the Wallabies play on their phones, the journos. I don't know if you boys knew that.
No, there you go. Yeah, I haven't actually been to Eden Park as a journo, so
yeah.
I'm not privileged yet.
I've got it over you.
Yeah, okay.
But anyway, top 5. I don't know. Yeah. Do you know that, Nathan? Anyway, top 5. Okay. And Nick, I guess you can jump in this now that you're a fish.
I think that Nick's just on 5 stadiums, so it counts.
So number 1's our favorite. Yeah, just on 5. All right, you go first.
All right, I'll go first. Number 1 in terms of, we just say like criteria wise, is it facilities or viewing?
However you want to rank them.
Well, I will go. I'll send you combine 2 in terms of facilities and viewing.
Overall experience.
And I say number one for me, I would have to say I've always got a I don't know what it is about Perth, but I always love being at Optus Stadium. Optus Stadium is always nice.
So is that 5? One.
That's one.
Whoa.
I'll put that top for now. I'd say, how about this? I'm going to name 5, and then there'll be any other. Optus Stadium deserves.
You're a madman.
Right? Adelaide Oval, or again niche one, but again they always do hospitality really well, and I have good memories there.
Hey, actually, say that Adelaide Oval. I was there for a work conference of all things, and the toilets ran out of toilet paper.
Ooh.
And so the janitor came in, and he just left hand towels in a pile next to the sink, and then someone used the sink, and all the hand towels got wet.
Oh.
Yeah, there you go. That's my Adelaide. Sorry, I'm not a journo. I've got to include myself. Anyway, continue.
I say Stade de France, very good. That might just be atmosphere-wise. That was electric. I dead set with throw Brighton in there as well in terms of facilities and where we were. Like that again, having mini screens right next to you where you can watch the game is elite. And again, padded seats. The only thing was the Wi-Fi was a bit shithouse, so that's why it gets 4. And then if I'm looking for a fifth, that's actually a tough one. I'm trying to think which one's up there.
Canberra.
Fuck off with Canberra. Canberra's the worst by far. A fifth, I'll throw Allianz in there. I don't think I've thrown Allianz. Again, new stadium, pretty decent view there, and yeah.
Okay. That screens, being able to watch the screens is pretty gnarly. That sounds sick.
That's great. Oh, it's so pretty nice.
It sounds like how you think Japan would be, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of gear. Finn, what's yours?
Flex here.
Number 1, Ellis Park, Johannesburg. Number 2.
For what? For what?
Sorry?
Inability to breathe properly, or?
It's just we had the plane flyover and stuff. Hey, like it was pretty cool. Like All Black Springboks last year. That's pretty hard to beat. So, Joburg.
Oh yeah, the plane. Yeah, okay. So for atmosphere and stuff.
Yeah, atmosphere is pretty cool.
Is it old inside though?
It looks
old.
A little bit, yeah. But I think it's just like it's one of those stadiums that like you hear about as a rugby fan, but you never think you'll go from Australia. At least,
yeah.
And like so to kind of be there last year is a bit surreal. But Twickenham at 2 speaks for itself. I think I'll go Stade de France 3. Suncorp 4, and I'll round it out with Hong Kong's old stadium.
Suncorp at 4. It's like from it, like Suncorp, amazing stadium to watch as a pundit. As media, it is shit. It is the media room is so small.
Wi-Fi doesn't. It's my list, Nathan. What I put on my list?
Yeah, Nathan.
Again, I'm not explaining any further.
Crazy.
Yeah, sue me. I'm from Brisbane. Okay. Yeah, grew up in
there we
Brisbane,
go.
So.
There's it.
No, but I mean, okay. If I'm not okay, do you want me to keep going? Civitas.
I thought Allianz would be at your top of your like Australian list. It's the most modern Australian stadium, like that or the MCG.
Oh, I forgot about the G. Oh, G was pretty. I mean, like. I've done 2 games at the G, All Blacks, Wallabies in 23, and of course the Lions this year, both 80,000+. They're pretty special, you know. So honourable mention, I think. Even Hong Kong's new stadium is pretty cool too.
MCG as a fan was amazing.
I actually think it was pretty
really
good for rugby. Like there's always kind of the hesitation with these kind of like AFL cricket stadiums of how's it going to work from a pundit's point of view in terms of viewing and stuff. I think the G is pretty okay.
Yeah, that's good.
You know, this year. So
I think the funny thing with rugby, unless you smack bang in the middle and midway up, you can't see anything anyway.
No, just
like if you're behind the goals, you're not seeing anything. You're just seeing dudes 80 meters down the way in a pile.
Seeing shape, and that's it.
See that's when you look to your little TV screen, private TV screen, right there at Albion Stadium. So we it was the same thing at Twickenham actually. Twickenham, you have your own screens. At least when I went a couple of years ago. So
that's sick.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. So
sick.
I could get used to this, lads. I think you probably haven't picked up on it, but my ego is just through the roof. Just when we thought it couldn't get any worse.
So what happens when you plucky little Kiwis are born and grow up in Australia? You just ego gets through. This is life. You don't have to be humble anymore. Nick, Nathan said you've only been a 5, so what's your favorite stadium? You got one choice.
You mean?
Can he list
Well,
five?
I don't know if I can even count to 5. To be honest with you.
Whatever metric you want, Nick. Whatever metric as a journo, as a fan, but you
So,
gotta let us know
yeah.
what the metric is.
Okay, so honest answers. In terms of genuine, amazing experience, plus lore, plus fun little tidbits, Millennium Stadium was phenomenal.
Principality.
Yeah, Principality is amazing. I do have a soft spot for Suncorp.
No, I
Really,
said one.
really enjoyed it.
You've listed two. I've given you one option.
All right then, fine.
What's your favorite?
Okay, I get it. I get it. I'm not as important as these two mofos.
Correct.
But I'll do a shout out to Murrayfield. I really loved Murrayfield.
Wow.
Damn, that's a deep cut. That's a deep cut. Yeah. I don't know. I honestly don't know what my answer is. If you want to ask me, probably.
What's yours next?
I'm trying to think. Fuck.
Leichhardt Oval.
No, yeah. Well, I mean that is an experience.
Definitely one of these.
No, because they ran out of beer one time. I went there at halftime. It sounds kind of lame, but Allianz, because Allianz is good. It's not the best.
Yeah.
I would have said Suncorp easily before Allianz was built. Suncorp was great. Maybe the MCG. I mean, it was so easy. You get in, plenty of space. There's no line for the bar. You don't have to pay for your cup. You go in there. It has that Coliseum feel. Like it is a Coliseum, but it's like when you go traveling and you go see a big monument, or I remember just being in South America and the Andes, and they're just there, and you feel so small. And I felt like that at the MCG. Yeah, I guess it's kind of what you're saying, Finn, about the Ellis Park. You're just like, wow, this is it.
Yeah, it's just surreal experience. I imagine it would be similar at what other Nick's saying, like Murrayfield and stuff. Principality, haven't been there, but they're pretty like bucket list type rugby stadiums, and I think a lot of rugby fans would say the same thing about Joburg, about Ellis Park, Emirates Airline Park. Sorry,
I'd say that probably. I'd love to go to the Stormers Stadium. I don't think they play in the soccer stadium.
Yeah, no,
their old stadium.
Yeah, DHL Stadium in Cape Town.
Yeah.
I've been there a couple of times. It's quite nice actually.
Is that the one that's really steep, or is that Ellis Park?
Ellis Park.
Yeah.
The one in Cape Town, I'd say, is a bit more, I don't know, familiar to what we're used to. I don't know. Like it's more of a bowl, but the stands kind of like it's built for rugby. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's quite a nice stadium. In fact, like I did the Cape Town Sevens there a couple of years ago, and like it was about 2 months after the Box won the World Cup in France, and when the Blitzboks played, it was like a World Cup atmosphere. It was actually nuts. It was pretty cool. Like they know how to love their rugby over in South Africa. So.
Yeah, I mean, again, not to listen on the podcast, but Harry Jones, I think, is from Cape Town. Was waxing lyrical about, in Cape Town, like you go to a Stormers game and people love rugby. That's all they want to talk about. Like it's deep in the bones. And all those like colourful houses he was saying in Cape Town, or the colourful houses, like you've probably seen it. That was the old the Muslim village. So they got these Muslim people over from India and whatever, and they as indentured servitude, and they put them on the hill because that was a bad place to live. They were told you could only paint it white, and they said, screw that. So that's why the houses are pink and blue and green and yellow and whatnot. And I think that might have been the neighbourhood that traditionally followed the All Blacks in South Africa.
Sure. Yeah, okay.
And now some of the people from that community are playing for the All Blacks. So I think Kanan Moody, Salman Murat from that. Anyway, it's a good bit of culture, I'm all here for the culture. You know me.
Culture king.
I am the culture king, culture connoisseur, culture commissioner, however you want to tell me. Anyway, I think that's it. Thanks, boys, for the stadium chat. I like that. That's good pub chat. That is good pub chat. Let us know in the comments. No one has ever left us a comment except for Hugh96. Shout out Hugh96 and shout out who's our favorite?
Julie T.
Julie T. How can I forget that name? Shout out Julie T. Shout out Hugh96. if anyone wants to be shouted out, just complain and we'll shout you out.
Can Nathan get a shout out? Or
No, I don't want a shout out.
No, Nathan doesn't deserve one. What's he
You gotta
done?
earn a shout out.
this is true.
What's he
This is
done?
true.
Shout out Finn Morton, wherever you
Yeah,
are.
yeah. There we go. That's what I'm bringing it.
Pity.
Yeah, anyway, okay, that's it from us. It's getting pretty late here. Nick's curfew is about to start. And the boys have at least 8 hours until their next appointment.
Couple out. He's got Canada press conference in an hour, and then Australians up at 3.
Oh, yeah, cleaner's here.
My client's here.
Jeez, right, now it's just me.
Panic. Your face is quickly turning red, Finn. How do I deal with this
what do I
pressure?
say? Look, guys, Nathan, man, he just stinks, doesn't he? Right.
I think I saw a little smoke cloud trail him just then.
To quote from friends, like, dude, you got to help me. You got to help me get me out of here. Like, I'm terrified of him. Live in fear every day.
What's happening? Who's knocking on the door?
I think it's a cleaner. I think.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And yeah, I just miss him so much. I just wanted to come back. Oh, here he is. Speaking of the devil.
Back after this.
I enjoyed you guys talking shit about me for 2 minutes. It was great.
Oh, fucking hell.
See, Nath has no concept of time if he thinks that was 2 minutes. But yeah.
Wow, that's so zen of you, Nathan.
Hey, I just roll the punches. That's it. Time is a relative construct.
It's relative. I think I said that to Nath like 2 days into our time in the UK. And you went, I just went, yeah, time's relative. I don't know. I was getting a bit better, and he went, she's like, what do you want? You know, like he kind of called me out. He was like, I think I was just having a, yeah.
You just having a think, Finn. You just having
think. Hey, I like to ponder every once in a while.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
You know, like.
But what do you mean by it's relative?
I
Do you
don't
mean
know.
that, like, if you're interested in something, like you're watching a movie you're interested in, it goes a lot quicker
It's just
than
relative.
if you're
man.
watching it and you're not interested? Is that what you
Like,
mean?
it's just relative.
Just is.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
hard to explain. You either get it or you don't. So
Yeah.
like, it's like
I
Origin,
get it.
just
I
Queensland.
get it. I get it. I get
Yeah,
it. No, it's good pondering question.
yeah. I'm gonna ponder some more actually.
Yeah.